Hey guys, I haven't posted on this channel for a minute, and it's just because I think because it's such a beauty-based channel, I always like to do my makeup while I film. And if I don't have any makeup that I'm really excited about, I just always feel like I just don't want to do my makeup. Like, I've barely done my makeup for the last kind of few weeks. I would do like a natural, like, slap on a little bit of concealer, maybe a bit of eyeliner, like mascara, brows, but it was never anything like exciting. And I was slowly trying to get myself back into the spirit of things, and I've decluttered a bunch of makeup. Like, I've got rid of stuff that isn't bringing me joy. I've reorganized my shelves. I've now got like access to makeup. I feel like, you know, when your storage is just so cluttered that like you can't even get to the makeup that you would want to use. I know this is such a first world problem. It's like, oh my god, you have too much makeup. Like, yeah, this is so dumb. Honestly, I'm like straining my neck to look up. Hold on. Yeah, I just think it's such a first world problem, but I just wasn't excited about doing my makeup, and I also wasn't excited about talking about the beauty community. I just kind of needed a break for a minute, but now I'm back, and I've got so much makeup that I'm like super excited about. Some stuff I've just fished out from kind of my collection. Some stuff I'm trying to use up. Some stuff I got in PR recently that I'm just super excited to use, and I just wanted to show you guys all of it. I got the Heavy Petal Colourpop collection in PR, which I'm so excited about. I'm always unsure if I'm still on the Colourpop PR list because they don't send me everything, and I'm obviously so grateful. Like, even if they send me 1 in 100 collections, I'd be like, thank you, mwah, I love you guys. But like, I'm always unsure of what they're gonna send me, so when a package arrives, I'm like, oh, this is a nice surprise. So they sent me the Heavy Petal collection, which actually I was thinking about buying myself, and actually put my own Colourpop order about 2 days before this arrived. And I had one of the blushes in my basket, but then I took it out. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna finish some other stuff, and they sent that stuff to me. So it was like a sign from someone, like, take it out of your basket because it's gonna send it to you and you're gonna have doubles. I love it. I love it. This is just everything I need for springtime. I dug my nail into one of them, so that's really cool. Today's video, before anyone is like, are you ever gonna get to the point, is brands that are in trouble. I have enough for kind of 2 parts, but I want you guys to comment down below your brands that you think are in trouble. Like, what have you seen kind of going into the drugstore, going into Sephora, going into Ulta? What have you seen that is kind of like, oh, you're always on sale, you're never selling out? Like, let me know what you guys think, and I'll create like a like, we'll collaborate, and then part 3 will be basically mainly your stuff. But I think I've got enough for 2 parts myself, and then from there I'll steal your guys' ideas. So let's just get into it. I'm going to apply a little bit of Hydro Grip. And yeah, so my first one is very controversial because I love this lady. I think she's great. I love her music, but I think her makeup has been severely underwhelming, and that is REM Beauty by Ariana Grande. I was so excited for her makeup because obviously with the success of Fenty and Rare Beauty, like, I just felt like, yeah, this might work. And even like Lady Gaga's first kind of version of her makeup line wasn't that great, honestly, but she rebranded and it's stunning now. Like, it's beautiful. I think House Labs is honestly really nice. Like, the blushes look great, the whole thing. So I was expecting great things from Ariana because her makeup's always so ethereal, and I feel like she was gonna go for that. Like, that was I felt like she was gonna go for that ethereal vibe of just like pastels, maybe some like, I don't know. I was just expecting more of that, and then she went down this weird like space route. Like, it all looks futuristic but kind of cheap at the same time, even though the price tag isn't super cheap. Like, it's actually quite expensive. Like, it's not the most expensive, but it's not drugstore. So yeah, I feel like the reviews are always either negative or okay-ish. I've never heard someone be like, oh, this is my favorite lip gloss of all time, or this is my favorite eyeshadow of all time. It's always kind of like, yeah, I like this, but I don't think she has any standout products that would be like cult favorites, cult classics. These are the products that we're going to repurchase. Because I think there are a lot of brands that people think are dying, but they always have that one product which, like, those sales get them through. Like, they could literally only sell that product and they'd be fine for the rest of their lives. I think with Benefit, it's like their brow products, right? Like, that is going to get them through life. They're okay. There are a few brands like that, and I just feel like REM Beauty doesn't have that. And then obviously recently Former filed for bankruptcy, and REM was kind of under the former parent company, and they had to pack their bags and leave. So they don't have that funding anymore because obviously that was the bankruptcy. And being attached to a bankruptcy, even though it's not REM going bankrupt, I feel like just being attached to that in news articles just isn't great for business when you're already not a super successful brand. I feel like I've read articles before where Former said that REM heavily underperformed. Like, part of the bankruptcy is the fact that they pumped so much money into REM Beauty expecting a lot of money back because Ariana Grande is such a massive celebrity, and it heavily underperformed. And I think, you know, pumping so much money into it was such a mistake for them. And yeah, I don't see them surviving much longer now that they're kind of out of the parent company situation. Like I think on their own, they're just not going to survive for much longer. I'm giving them 2 to 3 years, and then they're going to be like, right, let's pack our bags and go, because it doesn't make sense anymore. Let me do my brows. I'm obviously going to use Pink Honey Honey Glue Original Super Hold. I'm really disappointed because this always happens. I obviously filmed that Revolution video where I defended Pink Honey because they had their stuff stolen from them, which is obviously not great. And I talked about how it's kind of awful to steal from, when you're a massive corporation, to steal from an indie brand. But this indie brand owner is supporting Jeffree Star. Because he's like talked about their bronzer and how amazing it is. And she's obviously very happy about it, which like, I get that the kind of probably the sales that you get from someone like Jeffree Star mentioning your product might be really nice, but is it worth to sacrifice your ethics and your morals? That's my only thing, unless she genuinely doesn't know. But like, if you're such a big fan of makeup to the point of starting your own makeup line, and you obviously are into the makeup community, I'm sure you know what Jeffree Star has done, and it doesn't just end up problematic tweets or, I don't know, 10-year-old something. There is just so much that I can't even get into in this video because I would be here all day. And I have already filmed videos on this channel about Jeffree Star and what the problem is, that I'm like, how do you not know? And how do you feel okay being like, oh my god, yay, Jeffree Star is co-signing my brand and like promoting it, and I'm gonna be really happy about that. Because like, are the sales worth it? I don't know. Or do you just not think that what he did was bad enough? And at that point, you have to question your morals as a person, because I just think, like, that's not the kind of person that I want to support. So this is definitely the last time I'm buying from Pink Honey. I know that that sucks, but I just don't want to, you know, like, clearly she doesn't think that what Jeffree Star did is bad enough, and I think what Jeffree Star did is bad enough, so I'm not gonna, you know, it just kind of sucks when you figure that out about an indie company, because I'm like, I love this brow product, and I love buying from an indie company, but I gotta draw the line somewhere, and I'm drawing the line at supporting Jeffree Star. Anyway, moving on, I'm actually going to say, Jeffree Star Cosmetics. That brings us directly to Jeffree Star Cosmetics. This one is a bit of a mixed bag, bear in mind, because Jeffree Star might be making a comeback with Jeffree Star Cosmetics, and that's due to being on TikTok. And with the Michaela drama, obviously I'm not going to recap all of that here. I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury color corrector in Fair. With the Michaela drama, he decided to insert himself and paint himself as this, like, I'm just an honest reviewer, and everyone was just like so happy to invite him back into the community, as if he's not the devil reincarnated of the YouTube community. It's so disappointing to see. Once again, it's like the Pink Honey situation. But I wrote this list kind of before all of this was happening. I had this video planned for a while. My logic was, since the controversy palette and the controversy collection with Shane Dawson, none of his stuff has been selling. I'm using the stretch concealer in G11. That was because obviously of everything that came out about him, on top of everything that had already come out in the past that he was already apologizing for. People obviously had decided on YouTube to not support him anymore for good reason. But now, after kind of the Michaela situation, I don't know if his brand is on such a decline anymore, because I feel like now he's positioned himself to the TikTok audience as this like honest reviewer, and now he can just promote his brand to a whole new audience that he didn't have before. So up until now, when I go on Beauty Bay, which is the like UK retailer that sells Jeffree Star Cosmetics, among other brands obviously, his makeup is always in the sale section. But I feel like that might not last that long, considering how he has been welcomed back to the TikTok community with like open arms. Everyone's just so happy to have him back. That to me makes me think that people stopped buying from him, not because of his controversies or because they don't like him as a person or don't want to support him as a person, but simply because he got boring and stale and irrelevant. And now that he's relevant again, people will continue to buy from him. And obviously all these indie brands like Pink Honey are going to send him PR. He's going to review them. They're going to review him. It's a, you know, I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. Kind of sucks because I wrote this literally being like, there are issues with the owner. Quality was definitely overhyped by fans. I don't think his quality is that amazing. I've tried a bunch of his products. I've tried the liquid lips. I've tried the eyeshadows. I don't think they're that amazing to justify like racism / essay. It feels kind of uninspired these days. I feel like the passion is gone. He doesn't make these collections like that are super curated anymore. Like it just doesn't feel the same. And he hasn't sold out since the Conspiracy collection. That was what I wrote, and it's always on sale. But now I feel like that he's making a comeback to the TikTok community, and he has been welcomed back. That is a massive sign to me and probably to him that people do want him back and people do want his makeup. People just kind of didn't realize that he was still doing it, if that makes sense. Like I feel like people are just kind of like, oh, is Jeffree Star still a thing? And now that they know that he's still a thing, I feel like he's actually gonna have a pretty decent time selling makeup again. And that sucks because he was on this list and now he's probably not. Because I'm mixing up both skincare with makeup in this video. So I'm going to say Glamglow. Anyone still remember Glamglow? If you do, you're clearly like my age or older, because I feel like the younger community just will not know about Glamglow. Glamglow used to be known for making very like innovative face masks that were really, really expensive. They were all like £60 each plus. So I never ended up buying them because when they were on top, I was about 15. What 15-year-old is buying £60 face masks? Not this one. I was buying like sheet masks from the drugstore. But I feel like skincare at a certain point became about functionality, good ingredients, lacking in bad ingredients, rather than gimmicks. And I feel like if your whole shtick is gimmicks, you're going to kind of at some point fizzle out. Like gimmicks can only take you so long. And I feel like they were gimmicky, overpriced, and didn't capitalize on the skincare pandemic craze to market and rebrand. They could have rebranded away from kind of the gimmicks and did something else, like released maybe slightly different packaging of face masks, released like a core line of face masks, some extra stuff, taken away some of the really crappy ingredients, don't put glitter in your face masks, like really rebranded and became this like luxury face mask brand for the pandemic. And I feel like that would have been a great move for them, but they didn't. They actually like didn't market at all. And I feel like the pandemic was really a time where people focused and hyper focused on skincare, and that just didn't happen for them. So I'm gonna say Glamglow is on the out. I remember one time they tried to get into makeup, and I remember I think it was Tati really liked their highlight palette, but I never ended up buying it because it was so expensive. And then after that, they didn't even go into makeup. They were kind of trying out different things, I think, because they already saw that they were falling off in terms of skincare. They were trying makeup, but that didn't work. So, and the pandemic came, they didn't use that to their advantage, which sounds really crappy to use the pandemic for your advantage, but that's the truth. And yeah, I think they're just not gonna make a comeback at this point. I'm trying to open stuff here. If you can see me struggling off camera, it's with like these kinds of products where like they're thin and you can't really, okay. Give me a minute. Oh, okay, so I'm gonna use the Charlotte Tilbury Sun-Kissed Glow Bronzer in One Fair Pale. This is actually not very pale. I think they could have done slightly more pale. I know, shocking. They probably could have also done a bit darker, but that's on both kind of aisles. I think if you apply like a thin layer, it looks nice. I don't know, I think this bronzer though is so amazing. I think the formula is so good. It's like the perfect amount of creamy to blend out, but then it kind of dries almost matte looking. Like I love cream bronzer, but I want it to look matte because I want the focus of the shine and dewiness to be on the blush rather than on the bronzer. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I want the bronzer to just be there to like bronze things up, but not to take the shine away from bronzer and from blush and highlight. And then I feel like if the bronzer is also like dewy and shiny, then your whole face is dewy and shiny and it just feels a bit like overkill. Also dragged it way too low on this side. I'm gonna have to fix that. My bad, guys. I also feel like everything looks so much more dramatic on camera. Like this doesn't even look that bad in person, but on camera it's like, whoa. There we go. That's a bit better. I've stopped wearing foundation recently. I told you guys a few videos ago that I was having a retinol purge because I was using retinol on a regular basis for the first time in my life. I've never been consistent with it, and that was the issue. I was just like throwing money into the, like down the drain because I wasn't using things consistently. So like, what effects are you going to see? So I finally started using retinol more consistently, and I had a bit of a purge for 2 or 3 weeks, and now my skin looks glorious. Retinol really is just that girl. Like it's amazing. It's amazing what it does to just like life. And now I don't use foundation because I always feel like it's a waste of like a layer of my skin. It's not like I don't enjoy wearing makeup. I love wearing makeup. I just feel like that added layer is like so useless. Feels like one, a waste of product. Two, it like, why would I add more heaviness to my face if I'm not actually trying to cover anything up? So then it's like, I can just achieve the same look with concealer, color corrector, and then just putting cream, bronzer, blush, and highlight wherever like the foundation and concealer didn't hit, and then it just has the same effect without the heavy feeling. So I've just ended up like, all of my foundation is going to expire if retinol keeps on working the way it's working. That's what I'm going to say. If you want to use retinol, this is your sign to use retinol. It's really good. Now let's pick a cheek dew to use. Obviously, you know I'm going to go with pink. I love this kind of shade of pink, but this nude is also calling my name. And this corally, and then this one for winter, obviously not for now. I'm so excited. These have like shimmer going through them, which I hope is gonna look good. But this is the shade Dream Garden, if you guys were wondering. You kind of have to mix these up because they do separate sometimes, because they are almost like a serum blush, like a serum and a blush in one. Sometimes they will separate. It doesn't mean they've gone bad. It just means that you need to shake them up. That's my experience with them, because I've used them before. And I know they get mixed reviews, but I actually really like them. They don't expect much pigment. They're just very like, ooh, dewy. So let me just apply some to the back of my hand. Whoa, this shade is beautiful. I'm just so excited about this collection. I know it's very basic. We're expecting more from Colourpop, but like what else can we do at this point? I feel like everything's been done. I'm also using the Sigma and Christine Dominique brushes, and they are so good. I do have an affiliate link with Sigma, and they do send me PR, so these are PR, but they're just so beautiful. Look at this pink matte little, they look so good. This is the powder and bake brush, clearly not what I'm using it for. I don't know, I feel like brushes don't really have like a purpose. I've over applied. Yeah, this is not the brush for it. Do not use the Brighten and Bake for blush. Actually, you know what? It's not that bad. I've just definitely over applied on this side and dragged it way too high up for how pink it is. Let's try that again with maybe a different brush. I feel like this side has more blush than this side. I feel like these are thicker than they used to be. I don't know, I was just shocked by like how far it stretched, if that makes sense. Because it definitely over applied, but they used to be a lot thinner, so you could kind of over apply. Maybe they've increased the pigmentation and just made the formula a little bit thicker so that it... Why am I being targeted by the sunlight? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I hope it looks on camera the way it does in person, because I actually really love the way this blush looks, and I hope it doesn't look too crazy. And now that I've blended it out, panic averted, don't use this brush for blush and anything like that. That would be silly to do. Don't know who would do that. The third brand that I think is in trouble is Urban Decay. And hear me out, I actually have like knowledge to back this up. In some countries in Europe, they're actually discontinuing Urban Decay from like in-store buying, and maybe online, I'm not sure, but I know they're being discontinued in some areas. I'm gonna set with just my favorite, the Charlotte Tilbury. I just don't know if there's a better powder than this one, for me personally. And like just under my eyes and kind of in the areas where I don't have any colourful product. So yeah, they're discontinuing them in some European countries. I'm seeing they're going for like, basically they have like a list of like, this is where we're underperforming, and we're gonna just start taking Urban Decay away from those places and just try and like cut costs essentially, because if they just stop selling in places that they are wasting money on because they're not selling anyway, they'll be able to maybe focus on like upping production, quality, yada yada yada. But I feel like this is the start of the end for Urban Decay, which kind of sucks, because I feel like Urban Decay is such a staple brand for the beauty community on YouTube. Well, it's kind of was at the beginning with the Naked palettes, and I think they've really made the community what it is, but then they failed to grow with the community and like make products that we actually want and ask for, and I feel like just things aren't going too well for them. They are always on sale when I kind of go on different websites. I feel like Urban Decay is always on sale. The products just aren't really selling, and it's a shame. I feel like they're a great brand and they make good quality products, but they just never really catch me with the stuff they actually want to catch me with. Like for example, eyeshadow palettes. I haven't bought an eyeshadow palette from Urban Decay since the Smoky palette. That was my one and only Urban Decay palette, and I thought it was quite simply okay. It was my first like higher end eyeshadow palette, and it just wasn't really that great. Like the quality was fine, it just wasn't like amazing. I feel like there are such better qualities, and I just don't know if they've improved the quality much since then. From what I've heard, it's kind of stayed pretty consistent. And I feel like the Naked thing has been kind of overused, which you can say the same for other companies, but I feel like Naked has a very specific meaning. Like nude, naked, looks like you're not wearing anything, and that doesn't really go with red or blue or anything like that. Like I think Naked should be reserved for foundations, concealers, and then eyeshadow palettes that are just various shades of nude, rather than like naked but like blue and green. So I don't know, I just feel like they've kind of gone down really weird routes with their makeup and it just hasn't really worked out, and the products just feel stale and reused, like nothing new is happening in that brand. They also don't really have much of an online presence with influencers, which I know isn't the end all be all, because they started out having such an online presence that to not have it, you can see that decline, right? Like if you started out not having it and you still don't have it, it's fine, but to have it and then not have it sucks. But that's the difference. Like I feel like some companies just never had the online presence with influencers and that has worked for them. They go for more of a traditional customer base, kind of in-store, older maybe, Clinique, Estee Lauder, those kind of brands, MAC even. But I feel like Urban Decay was such a staple for influencers that now like no one talks about them except for the one eyeshadow, you know, the single eyeshadows they sell, and then you have Space Cowboy and Solstice. Those are the two that are really, you know, being sold now. But I don't think 2 single eyeshadows are going to make or break the sales for your company, because once again, like eyeshadows you don't really use up that quickly, even a single eyeshadow, compared to a brow product, a mascara, things like that. And I feel like if they saw that like that eyeshadow was really blowing up on TikTok, why wouldn't they have capitalized on that? Like do something around that, make some TikToks, I don't know, do something to revive your company. I know sometimes it feels like some companies just don't want a younger audience, and you know, you sometimes have to pick like what audience do you want versus do you just want to stay alive? Like do you want your company to shut down, or do you want to put your pride aside and like just send some stuff out to TikTokers? I'm gonna do a bit of an hourglass powder mix just all over. This lighting, why is the sun coming out in the UK already? It was literally like snowing the other day and now we have like the sun coming out. That's fine, just do whatever you want. So what blush do I want to use? Powder blush, powder blush. I've used Luminoso before. I'm gonna use the Milani Bella Bellini, which is just like a pink, just a straight up pink blush, which I think is gonna go really well with this look, just to set the blush in place. I'm doing this in such a wrong order. Like I haven't even set my bronzer with bronzer yet. I'm so just all over the place. Give me a minute. Just still using the Nabla. I'm trying to finish it up. Honestly, I'm getting a bit sick of it now. The next brand that I think is in trouble is Jaclyn Cosmetics. They had obviously the lipstick gate fiasco where they sold subpar quality, very bad quality lipsticks. We all know they were contaminated and that whole thing. I don't have to explain it to you guys, you were all here. After that, I felt like they were kind of picking it up, like their reputation was kind of coming back up. It wasn't as bad as I would have expected after such a fiasco with the lipsticks. I'm not even going to use highlight because that is the most beaming highlight I have ever used. It's on camera, it looks white. In person, it is yellow gold. Yellow gold highlight. Oh, I didn't realize this is what it was going to look like. Usually Milani blushes, they're quite shimmery, well, shiny, but they don't have like you can not use highlight with them, but it's not this like overpowering. But this is straight up highlight. Be careful with Bella Bellini. It is very shimmery, shiny, and it goes on yellow. Like the highlight is yellow. I think it's gorgeous, but if it's not the look you're going for, then it might just not be the look you're going for. But you know what, you can kind of in the packaging tell the difference between like Luminoso and the Bella Bellini. Like Bella Bellini definitely has more rippling with shimmer going through it. Let me try and tone this down a little bit. I guess we're going for a very shiny, shimmery look today. It's not the worst thing to ever happen to me, but it's just not what I was expecting. Let me do a little bit of setting spray. Charlotte Tilbury, as always. Just the scent of this makes me feel like, wow, my makeup's really gonna last. So I've set my eyes again, because obviously the setting spray kind of wet them and I don't want the eyeshadow to go on patchy. So I'm gonna use the Heavy Petal eyeshadow palette. I'm so excited about it. So with the lipstick fiasco, once again, contaminated lipsticks, we all know how that went down. And I feel like after that, they kind of started redeeming themselves. I'm not saying they were a staple in the community, but I'm saying they were getting sales. Like we saw their recent reports, you know, Jaclyn got paid a few million a year for just licensing herself for this line. Now I'm gonna get into why I think they're falling off. Jaclyn has been in a lot of controversy again. One with stealing Cozy from fellow influencer, and then basically making fun of that influencer indirectly for even being upset, you know. I have all of that on kind of my main channel. You know, her jewelry line had some quality issues. Her makeup line, as much as it was fine and it didn't have any further quality issues like the lipstick gate, it wasn't outstanding. Like I feel like people really aren't saying like, wow, you need to run out and get this, like this is going to change your life. No one's really saying that. And I feel like the skin tint and concealer that came out was really a flop. Like every review I saw was negative, so I didn't really see that like, you know, doing well for Jaclyn. Jaclyn's not even using her own skin tint and concealer in her videos. She's using like other foundations while shilling all of her other products. So clearly that's not even like her favorite product. I just feel like the quality has been a little bit subpar. I feel like her eyeshadow palettes are doing well, but her eyeshadow palettes always did well. I feel like at this point in 2022, if you're still messing up eyeshadow palettes, like, I don't know, I feel like eyeshadow palette might just be one of the easier combos to get right. I'm not saying to make the best Pat McGrath, Natasha Denona quality, because at that point you have to go to Italy and get, you know, pay more and yada yada yada, but like, just to make a good, decent eyeshadow palette, I don't think takes a lot. You really have to try to mess up. And recently, Forma went bankrupt and has exposed the lies of Jaclyn Cosmetics. And I feel like that is just another reason why people are not going to trust Jaclyn, because she doesn't own her brand. She's not the CEO of her company, which she claims to be, and she has claimed to be from the beginning, to be the founder, owner, and CEO. She claims it's a family business, but actually all of the shares are owned by Forma. She has never been the CEO, COO, anything of that sort, and she's only ever been paid for licensing her name and likeness for the brand, and she's essentially been in the contract, she's considered a collaborator with Forma on this brand. So just like, I don't know, obviously Forma is essentially Morphe, but like Morphe's parent company, she has always collabed with Morphe on things, and she has now collabed with them on her own makeup brand, but it's not her makeup brand, it's their makeup brand. And that's why this bankruptcy is exposing that now, because they had to put all of that in the documents, and Jaclyn Hill is still not addressing that. Actually, she did technically address it in a video recently by saying that she doesn't owe us an explanation about the way she runs her business and that we shouldn't trust everything, but like, we obviously will trust court documents because they're court documents, and Jaclyn Hill was not known to be this like super honest. Like, that's not her reputation on the platform, honesty. And I feel like that's just another nail in the coffin for Jaclyn Cosmetics. I feel like it already wasn't doing as amazing as it could have been doing. And it's just like another reason to not trust the brand and trust the owner. So I feel like, yeah, it just is what it is. I just don't trust Jaclyn with anything these days. I'm gonna use Daisy in just all over because it's got like a pink shimmer going through it, even though you can't see it. It's like orangey and pink at the same time, which is gorgeous for kind of the springtime. Wow, that's amazing. I feel like Colourpop has really come a long way with their eyeshadow palettes. I know I just said eyeshadow palettes are like easy to make. I feel like they're easy to make now because everyone's got the knowledge, but like Colourpop obviously had good quality eyeshadow palettes in the past, but I feel like every year their quality improves. It's not like they're taking money and then just like, that's it, like we've made a profit. I feel like Colourpop really takes the time to improve formulas, because now this really feels like a mid to high-end formula when it isn't a mid to high-end price tag, and that's just amazing. I don't know, there's just something about Colourpop that always has my heart and forever will have my heart, because it just works and I love it, and I love the prices as well. I recently bought like a full basket of stuff and I didn't pay above like £50, and that was just amazing for me. And they're cruelty-free, made in California. Like, I feel like everything about them is just like right for me, and that sounds like a pitch. I'm like pitching something to you guys. I'm not. The only thing I get from Colourpop is PR, and if I'm ever sponsored, I'll let you guys know. I'm going to use Full Sun in the inner corner and brow bone. I do love an inner corner brow bone highlight. That's my vibe. I'm just trying to finish off mascaras and be very intentional with my mascara use to not open like all of my mascaras at the same time. So I'm just using up the ones that I've already opened in the past. So today I'm going to use the Act Natural Colourpop Defining Mascara in black because it's getting so old. I know this is like basically expired, but I just need to like get my use out of it, and then I'll be able to peacefully part ways with it. You know, I also have the brown ones. I'm going to use those on my more natural days to try and use them both up, and that will be my like way of getting around that. The last company I want to talk about for today is Dragon Beauty, which is another influencer brand. Dragon Beauty has officially kind of come to an end. They kind of announced a hiatus. Nikita Dragon is starting an OnlyFans, and that will be the thing that she kind of focuses on that isn't that's going to be like a main thing. Owning a beauty company requires like a lot of focus on the beauty company, which I feel like is why a lot of makeup brand owners, if they did social media before, they kind of tend to not do social media as much in order to be able to focus on their makeup line. I feel like it takes a lot of, if you're actually like present and invested in your company, you're gonna kind of spend a lot of time on it. And I feel like Nikita just can't spend the time on her makeup line that is necessary to spend to have a successful makeup line. And I feel like the sales have been falling off. I know it has been reported that at her height of the makeup kind of journey that she has had, she made 25 million in 1 year, which is incredible. But then shortly, literally the year after, she made 1 million, which is a bunch of money, but obviously so much less than 25 million. That was such a fall off for her, and that was apparently off the back of a lot of her controversies. You know, she took some breaks off social media as well due to mental health, and then she also had a lot of controversies that were kind of shown on the internet, and she was even called out by her own friends for blackfishing and all of that kind of stuff that she was doing for a long time, but she was finally called out for. The pandemic stuff, I just feel like it all added up to not being great PR for her, and that's the reason why she couldn't really enter proper retail spaces. She was being sold on Beauty Bay for a bit, just like Jeffree Star, but they clearly don't really care about who they're selling because they still sell Jeffree Star stuff. But she couldn't get into Sephora or Ulta the way kind of Patrick Star could have. She was for a bit sold in Morphe stores, but obviously that's not really happening anymore. So with that fall off, the brand also falls off. And I know that Nikita is passionate about wearing makeup. I feel like her makeup is always beautiful, but I don't know if she was ever as like passionate about owning a makeup line. Like I don't think that was ever something that she was super into. She never seemed super invested in owning a makeup line. I thought it was just something that she did because that was just kind of like the path that you took as an influencer. You kind of have your own makeup line. So it makes sense that it hasn't been as successful in the last few years. Like she hasn't really released many products. She hasn't been promoting it much. So it makes sense that it has now gone on a bit of a hiatus. I do wonder if it's ever going to come back, but I wonder if she is too controversial to kind of put in just regular standard like retail spaces. I don't know. I'm going to do just my regular Charlotte Tilbury lip liner in Iconic Nude. I feel like there is no better lip liner for me because it perfectly goes with like my lip shade and my skin shade. I just feel like it just works for me. Now I have the ColourPop Luxe Creams in Pink Bouquet, Fleur You, and Bloom Time. I'm gonna use Fleur You, which just is like a pinky mid-tone shade. That's beautiful. That is gorgeous. Wow. Super comfortable too. Wow. I love these like light, almost Barbie pinks these days, but with like a lip liner, I just feel like it looks kind of like 2000s, but not really. And I'm just going to use the Sailor Moon Ultra Glossy. Hope it doesn't give me a weird reaction because I've had it for ages. I hate these kind of brushes, I have to admit, but this formula of lip gloss from ColourPop is so good. I prefer this one actually over the Luxe glosses that they have, the shorter ones. I just think this formula is a little bit less thick, and that sometimes just works a little bit better with other lip products underneath, whereas the Luxe gloss I think works if you only have lip liner on, because then there's less formulas and it's a bit thicker and holds everything together. This is such a springtime look. I'm loving it. So that's really the end of part 1. I do have some more for part 2, but let me know in this video, and obviously the next video I'm going to film the part 2, your brands that you think are in trouble, and I'll compile another list and maybe we'll make this into a 3-part situation. All the links will be in the description for everything, my social media and everything I used today. So if you guys want to buy anything, go ahead. Subscribe to the bell icon for engagement, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.